You're listening to Robinson Ventures Radio, where ingenuity meets innovation. Today, we are joined by Miss Laurel Hess, founder and CEO of Hampr, an on-demand peer-to-peer laundry service, and as always, Cian Robinson, founder and president of Robinson Ventures. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey, good
Hi.
afternoon.
You guys have had some business together for a bit now, if I'm correct.
Yeah, we've been working together since I would say it was March of 2020, which is, as you know, a perilous time. And that is when we started working together. And it's been awesome. It's been an awesome 2 years, almost
Yeah,
3 years.
yeah, almost. I was going to say almost 3 years in Tucker. It's excellent to work with people like Laurel who have the ingenuity, the excellence, the integrity, and the drive. And so, I'm looking forward to hearing Laurel's origin story about who she is and the why behind what she's doing, and then a little bit more about Hamper.
What do you want the people to know?
Well, I was a very reluctant entrepreneur. I'm not the typical founder where I always dreamed of owning my own company and I always knew that I wanted to be the boss. That was not my origin story. I came up in marketing and I graduated in broadcast production actually, so something very random. And I got my first job at Weber Shandwick in Dallas. So I was doing PR when they called social media new media, so that was a long time ago. And I came up doing PR for American Airlines, Verizon Wireless, but I missed my Cajun boyfriend because I had met my future husband while I was evacuated for Katrina. So I went back down to Louisiana and I ended up at the Superdome for 5 years. So I was the sales and marketing manager in corporate convention sales, managing live events, opening a couple new venues while I was there, but never saw my baby. So I had a baby at the time. And my husband moved us to his hometown of Lafayette. So I was working in Lafayette. And at that time, I'd had another baby and I was working in digital marketing. I loved it. I was running my own company. And I had come home from a business trip and there was just laundry everywhere. And my kids had T-ball opening day and a bunch of birthday parties. And I'm trying to order groceries on my phone because at that time we had Shipt and Instacart. And then I realized that wasn't the pain point that I had. What I really needed was my laundry to be done because we could run through the drive-through or go to Domino's, but I needed to have my laundry done. And so what I figured out at the time was that it didn't exist. Peer-to-peer laundry didn't exist. So I knew that I had to build it.
And so, Laurel, when you started Hamper, how did you and I get connected at the time?
It's kind of a funny story. I had started working on Hampr in 2018. And we had a technical co-founder who bailed on us after a year and didn't do any work. And we had gotten another co-founder, launched January of 2020, right before COVID hit. And thankfully, Cian, who I jokingly refer to as my fairy godfather,
Oh
came in
gosh,
and said,
no.
would you deliver prescriptions? And at first we thought, no, no, we do laundry. But what it took was him saying, look, you don't have a laundry platform. You have a last mile delivery platform. And he was absolutely right. And so we were able to repurpose the platform with Cian's guidance and help to survive COVID and deliver prescriptions for a local health system during the pandemic.
Entrepreneurs will sometimes encounter issues. It's not if, it's when. And so
Mhm.
Laurel had this challenge, which is she launched in March of 2020, right at the onset of a pandemic, which has never been seen in 100 years, and was trying to figure out, how do I get my company from point A to point B? It still needed to be hyper focused on hamper and delivery and laundry services, right? But if I could find a model that also is, as Laurel said, that last mile solution, can I deliver prescriptions? And sure enough, we were able to do it, which enabled her to present to, at the time it was Lafayette General, it's now Auctioneer Lafayette General, their Healthcare Innovation Fund 2. And her and her team did a wonderful job, showed how she could pivot into healthcare. And that was the first round of financing that Hamper received from Healthcare Innovation Fund 2, and enabled her to survive the pandemic and move forward. Right. So it's not if you encounter a challenge, it's when, and it's how do you pivot into that opportunity.
Yeah, I do think if we had not taken that opportunity, we would not exist. So I really credit that ability to look at the platform and see what else it could do with the fact that we're still here today.
As far as I understand, you guys have expanded into 9 states and roughly 35 major market points. Is that correct?
Actually, it is 12 states and
Oh,
51 markets. But that just shows how fast we can open up markets, because that is a very new number. I mean, we're opening markets almost, it seems like every week. Major markets too. We opened Orlando, Miami, Atlanta, Washington, and that's all happened within a week. So who knows? You ask me again in an hour, it might be double that.
by the end of this episode, who knows?
It's possible.
So Laurel, you describe your origin as a professional mom, frustrated not being able to get laundry accomplished, right? And so that's the problem you were seeking to solve, in the ingenuity and the innovation. Where do you see you driving that in the future? I mean, other than how Hampr expands markets, I mean, what are your thoughts there about your own ingenuity and innovation, and how that drives you in the future?
I am obsessed with solving mental load, specifically for busy working families. And for me, laundry was a very personal pain point of mine. And I have a lot of other personal pain points that I think a lot of working parents also feel. So it is starting with laundry, because you have to generate a lot of trust. This person is picking up your clothing. It's not like grocery delivery where they're bringing you something you didn't have before. So for me, I really want to springboard off of that trust and do more. What other services can we provide for someone who's a busy working mom, or a busy working dad, or just a busy family? Is it wear green shirt day? Do you need me to go get you a green shirt? There's an idea of a fractional personal assistant, and it's sort of a take on the modern day village that I think the household management category is so fragmented and nobody's really won it over yet. I think that there's a lot of wiggle room for us there. There's a very deep niche for us to grow into.
So with helping with mental load, is that why you think you've been able to expand into markets so quickly? It's just because this is not a small issue. Like, everybody has to deal with this.
Well, I mean, everyone has laundry, right? So that's ubiquitous. And I think that we're still building a market in a lot of ways, like Uber and DoorDash are educating the marketplace, Airbnb. This is a thing you can have now. There's still no market leader for laundry. I think we are very primed to be that market leader. And the unique thing about our model is that we can grow and expand really quickly because we're asset light. The only thing it takes for us to go into a market is to draw a boundary and hire a couple washers and launch that marketplace. And we can begin taking on active customers. So we can move a lot quicker than some traditional models that have to build and maintain a facility. So I think partly it resonates with people. Once you get over the guilt hurdle, it resonates with people. But the fact that we can be in your market in a matter of minutes also is really, really handy when it comes to scaling.
So Laurel, I think our folks who are listening to this are at a little bit of a disadvantage, because we all know the Hampr model, right? We know how Hampr works. So why don't you actually describe what Hampr does and how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a peer-to-peer marketplace model. So it's a lot like Uber, a lot like Lyft, where you have supply, which is washers. They're typically stay-at-home parents or retirees. They live in your community. And then we have the members, which are the people like me who don't do laundry, don't know how to do laundry, and want to outsource it. So the way that it works is you download the mobile app, and assuming we're in your market, you have two options. One is that you can sign up for a membership, and it's $39 per year. That gets you access to the platform and 4 of our custom designed pop-up Hampr bags. And the bags are unique because it allows us to restrict the load size. And that's important because it offers flat rate pricing. So you'll pay anywhere between $10 and $25 per Hampr bag, depending on the market you live in, for next day wash, dry, fold service. So you get your bags in, you fill it up, scan it, put in your preferences. It gets cleaned by a washer, which is someone who, again, lives in your community, who's been background checked. They will come to your home, pick it up, bring it back to their home, wash, dry, fold, and then bring it back to you the next day. We also have another model that's Hampr Lite, where you can use the platform without a membership fee. You just pay a little bit more per load, just to kind of try before you buy.
And so what are the primary markets you're in right now?
We're in Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Houston, San Antonio, obviously Lafayette, Louisiana, which is our headquarters, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, North Atlanta, Washington, D.C., Denver, Phoenix, Arizona, Tucson, Miami, Orlando, Jacksonville, Florida, Birmingham, Mobile. So quite a bit along the Gulf Coast south as well.
And what do you expect from Hampr next?
In terms of geographic location or like the business itself?
Well, why not
Yes.
both?
Can I have both?
We're both
Yes.
like, yes, yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
That's
Both.
such a CN answer. Yes. I really, really want Hamper to be a verb. I want, just like Uber or just like Lyft, someone to say, oh, let's just Hamper this weekend. And in order for that to happen, we have to be so ubiquitous that we are in every single market. So for me, it's all about scale and becoming that market leader. I mentioned earlier, nobody has won a marketplace yet. Laundry is so fragmented. There's no market leader. I think Hamper could be that market leader. So that's my main goal for the business itself. Beyond that, I want to be able to offer more services to people to help with household management, building off of the trust we've created with laundry.
So, Laurel, I'm going to maybe ask this as a personal question. What has it been like being a female founding CEO of a digital tech startup in Lafayette, Louisiana?
I think you answered your own question. It is exactly what you would imagine. There are not a lot of marketplace companies in Lafayette, Louisiana. There's not, male or female, there's not a whole lot of startups here. So our ecosystem is very small, but it is very, very supportive. And I've been very lucky to make awesome connections. For me, it's all about networking. It's not easy being a female entrepreneur, specifically in tech. I am typically the only female in the room. I tend to get asked questions, like many female entrepreneurs, that are more about past performance than future projection and future looking. And so I've learned over time kind of how to zig when I get zagged. And I've learned how to answer questions that I want to answer that I know are going to be the right answer looking forward versus what I've done in the past. I was really lucky early on to apply to Techstars Austin, which really helped springboard our networking and connection because it put us now on the map in Austin through a Techstars accelerator. We got access to their network. And I am very big on taking advantage of networks. And so I've been able to meet really great mentors through that. Our founding CMO of TaskRabbit is one of our marketing mentors. The founding COO of Robinhood has been one of our operational mentors. And so that has been absolutely critical. I don't think I could have done it without the connections that my network has brought.
So when you go into one of these meetings and you're dealing with all of this, how do you present Hampr in a way that makes people go yes without a second thought?
It's challenging. It really depends on who I'm talking to. I try to tell my personal story and how I arrived at Hampr and the story of me at the ballpark trying to order groceries on my phone and realizing that's not my problem. It resonates with people. They're like, yeah, I've been there. Like, I know what you're talking about. Typically, it will resonate more with a female investor or a female executive. I've been in countless pitches where men have asked me, is this really a problem? My wife does laundry, which I don't end up working with those investors.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah. But everyone has laundry. So this is not a really hard stretch to get people on board to think, is this something that can be a billion-dollar company? Because it's a problem everyone has. Everyone has a laundry mountain somewhere in their house.
So, Laurel, as a female CEO, founding startup kind of person, right? What other advice would you give to other female CEO future folk?
I would say you've got to have a network. You have to have a network of peers and you have to have a network of support. I don't think I could have made it through without people to really cheerlead me in the dark times because being an entrepreneur, regardless of whether you're male or female, is extremely scary. And there's a lot of ups and downs. And you have to be able to go to someone who's a peer and a supporter to say, oh my gosh, yeah, I know that's normal. Don't worry about it. You're fine. Let me offer you perspective. See, and you've done that for me multiple times. And then I think on the peer side of, yeah, I experienced that too. This is okay. I'm going through it with you and I'm on the same journey as you. If you don't have that on both sides, it's really, really, really lonely.
So, if you had to name maybe one or two of your greatest challenges that you've encountered so far, what would they be?
Oh, there's a lot, right? That's like the journey of entrepreneurship. Obviously, COVID was really terrifying because we had spent 2 years planning for, targeting busy moms, and all of a sudden, busy moms, busy parents are home. So we had to flip who we were going after demographics wise. That was a really big challenge, and not knowing if we were going to survive because we were running out of money. I think the other challenging piece is actually even before that. There's been a lot since then, but even before that, our original technical co-founder quit. And we thought we had a year's worth of stuff we thought we were going to launch, and they didn't. And we had to find another technical co-founder in less than a month. And that was really challenging. But again, that's where that network comes into play. And that's been really helpful. A third one, which you didn't ask for, but I think it's important. I tried to raise money too soon last year. I went out for a fundraise, not understanding that I have seasonality in my business, and that going out for a fundraise right after the summer, I was not prepared. I thought I was. I didn't have my numbers and ducks in a row. I didn't know the numbers the way I needed to know them. I didn't have confidence in my financial model where I should have really had confidence in those numbers. I just thought, this is a great business model. I've got some metrics. People are obviously going to give me money. And that did not happen. So that was a harder lesson to learn. But I figured it out now. So it's going to make it easier.
When you talk about seasonality, is that general advice, or is that mostly related to Hampr?
I think that in particular is related to Hampr. I think you have to understand the uniqueness about your business for any market you're in. For Hampr specifically, we thought that it was hard to tell seasonality because we had launched during a pandemic. Then we were recovering from a pandemic right when IDFA happened, which is what Facebook and Google and Apple had done, that kind of upended attribution. And you couldn't tell what channels were producing the best customers and how you were acquiring them because you couldn't retarget. That happened during a summer. So we didn't really know, was it seasonality or was it this weird anomaly, until this year when we saw, okay, it is seasonality. This happened again. It happened last year.
So here you are, you're a founder, CEO, and you're going out to raise money. And then you raise money. You're catching the bumper of the car, right? That you've been chasing the entire time. It falls into, well, now what do you do? What happens? And if you could give some advice to, founding entrepreneurs and people seeking, seed, angel, Series A, whatever you want to call it, right? What kind of advice would you give to them once they catch that funder?
Well, I have two pieces. One is even before that. I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs that don't understand that fundraising is a full-time job, and it's your full-time job as the CEO. A lot of them treat it like it's this task they have to check off. And when you treat it like that, you're not going to be successful because it's not a task. It's literally your function in the company. You have to keep it capitalized. Once you catch the bumper and you're riding the wave, I think there's this thought, even I've fallen victim to it during it, where, when I'm done with this raise, I'm going to take a day off and I'm going to rest. That absolutely does not happen. And it shouldn't, right? It's not the end of a finish line, getting the money in the door. It's literally the start of the finish line. And that's when the work happens. And what you don't want to do is fall victim to complacency. Oh, we have this money now. We're going to be fine. We can start spending money on things that maybe we're trying to test different channels that we haven't really thoroughly vetted, or we're going to hire this person that just sounds good on paper, but we don't actually need. You have to have a plan before you close your round, and you got to stick to that plan.
So talk to me about work-life balance. And I bring this up because not only is my kid the producer of the podcast, right? All right. But he's also got to see incarnations of Robinson Ventures since he's been, before he was in kindergarten, right? He got to hang out with me. And so to me, it's always important, and we talk about in the first one of the first two episodes, making sure that your partner is fully engaged, if you have a partner, in this, in this journey. And so what has it been like, having, just talk to me about that. I mean, you talk about being frustrated as a working professional, well-accomplished, mom who has two boys and, is married to also a working professional, accomplished, guy, right? What's the deal there?
I think for me, understanding that there is no such thing as work-life balance is key. That it's kind of a myth. Like, life is going to follow me into the office and work's going to follow me out. Like, that's normal and it's okay. I've been really, really lucky that I have a super supportive partner, and he tends to pick up a lot of I'll do the mental load of childcare. He'll do the actual physical pieces of it. So every day he picks them up from school. Every day he drops them off. If someone's sick or has a doctor's appointment, he's usually on deck for that because he understands my work is so erratic And this is kind of what we've decided to put our eggs in terms of what we're going to focus our energy on as a family. I've always been the one to kind of run forward career-wise, and he's always been the one to sort of lift me up. And you kind of take turns doing that, which he had his turn, I have my turn, so we kind of go back and forth. But I'm lucky that we're balancing that. And I think the rise of remote work has made it easier because there's a lot more companies that are understanding that you're going to have to run out and get your kid to go do this, that, and the other. And work can be asynchronous now. It's not so tied to, you have to be sitting at your desk from 8 to 5.
I'm going to shift gears for you and go into talk to you about Hampr. I mean, are you going to be the CEO of Hampr in 5 years, 20 years? I mean, what do you think is going to happen with Hampr?
I think what the most likely outcome for Hampr is an acquisition. I think that it would make sense for a P&G or a company like that, maybe even a major retail partner, to acquire Hampr and really scale that laundry business from there. I would love to stay a part of it as long as I can. I have really figured out that my passion and my energy is making other people's lives easier. And I think there's a few other ways I can do that outside of laundry. But this is, I'm going to see this one through and then probably move on to something else.
So what do you think drives your why there? Why are you so impassioned by, making other people's lives easier?
It's just experiencing personal pain points and realizing it doesn't have to be like this. It started with laundry. Here I am frustrated at the ballpark trying to figure out how I'm going to get my laundry done. It doesn't have to be like that. So here I am getting inundated with 7 apps I have to download from my children's school, and I can't even find where my son's theater rehearsal schedule is. I just want to print out to put on a calendar, but I have to jump through 8 different apps to find it. It doesn't have to be like that. And I think that since I've figured out now that it is within me to figure out how to solve those problems, I'm going to keep solving them.
So you mentioned earlier that laundry isn't the only option, and with how much people have going on nowadays, is that why you're pursuing these additional avenues, aside from the business appeal of major markets, just to lighten the mental load and take away those pain points?
Yeah, that's my eventual goal for it. I realize that the key thing about Hampr is how hyper local we are. So these are people in your community helping other people in your community. So they have a really unique advantage point because they live in your same area. So for me, if I had my washer text me, "Hey, I know your son goes to Milton. Did you know it's Wear Red Day tomorrow? I've noticed I haven't seen a red shirt. Do you want me to just run to Target and get him one?" Yes, please. Please. I would love to outsource my thinking to someone. And it works really well with someone who lives in the same community and is a part of the same activities that I'm a part of.
What is something that every single folk they have an idea in their head, right? They've got an innovation in their head and they've got the passion and ingenuity behind it. What is one piece of advice you would give to them?
Oh, that they could do it. I think a lot of people psych themselves out and think, well, I could never start a company. I could never, listen, y'all, I could barely work a spreadsheet. I figured it out. Like, you can figure it out too. People want to help you. In almost every city, there's some sort of accelerator, incubator. Go there. That's a great starting point, because sometimes it's not knowing where to go and how to begin is what causes people to not start. But that is such an easy obstacle to overcome. If you ask for the help and you ask for the support, that is absolutely critical.
Laurel, what's just been amazing to watch is your growth, both personally and professionally, through this entire last 3-year period. And you've invested so much in others and in your company, but I do think you've also invested quite a bit in yourself. And I do think that Hampr is just truly just the beginning to your story. I think you'll have brilliant success, and then I'm always interested. So what's next, right? And Tucker, I'm always asking, like, Laurel, okay, so what's next? What are you going to do next, right? Because what's that?
Literally every call. What else? What else?
What else? What else? I think what people need to understand is just how rare it is to find somebody like a Laurel who can take a company from concept through to and approaching a future Series A's raise and taking a valuation from nothing to quite a bit and doing that in 3 years. So, Laurel, just congratulations to everything you've been able to do.
Thank you. I did not succeed by myself. So some of that goes to you for sure and our board and our awesome, awesome employees.
All right, I think that's it.
And if you are interested in Hampr, you can go to tryhampr.com. As we mentioned earlier, there's both a annual plan and a sort of as you please plan. So go ahead, make sure you guys go there. The link will be down in the description. Check it out. And Miss Hess, thank you again for coming on Robinson Ventures Radio.
Well, thank you so much. It was awesome.